a very tight situation. I have been before you go to the next slide, I've been in a private and a domestic situation of teaching. So I know what happens in both of those situations. About 3-4 years ago, there was an introduction of photomath. I don't know if you guys know photomath. That's picture, solution, and then they write, and then they think they know because they got 100%. They think they know. So my talk today is going to be about what is artificial intelligence in terms of mathematics problem solving. My research area is math problem solving, and I always try to make sure in terms of my research to look at the different picture of how it applies to teaching. I have been a teacher for about 6 years before I went to university. So I know what is happening on the ground. May I please have the next slide before I talk a lot? Okay. So we have a little problems of some sorts in schools, and whether we are in private or whether we are in public school, we have similar problems. And I think we manage them better in a public school than in a private school. I love public schools because there's a lot of terror, if I may put it that way. And there's a lot of, you have to persevere in a public school. Private school, you just write a demerit and that's it. It's fine. In a public school, you have to persevere. You have to take a learner by the hand and try and make sure that they actually, make it. Okay, so in the recent years, we have a lot of technology that we need to implement. It's a need. I think it's been implemented and it's been gazetted in the policies that we need to implement technology in our teaching, but probably that technology is not there. I don't know. We need to implement this technology that is not there. And if you look at the skills that are needed these days, are technological skills. So I'm going to ask these mathematics teachers that are here to be ready, even if we are doing physics, even if we are doing life science. Can I please ask you to be ready to solve just a little bit of some life problems? Because we need to look at today's talk. It's going to be about how do you use AI to solve problems? What is the importance of AI to solve problems? We supervise a lot of students. We teach a lot of students that when you give them an assignment, they just put it on AI and then they get a lot of fake things that we know that are fake as people who are educated and we know what is happening in the field. So can I please, without reading all of this, I think probably you have captured it already. Can I please ask the next slide? Um, all of this is, something that we all know. During COVID, we were teachers and we still had to teach using WhatsApp. And we used to use group chats and send assignments using WhatsApp. We were marking using WhatsApp and all that. I don't know how do you mark a maths, question paper, because in maths we have there is a trial, there is a final exam. I don't know how do you mark that using WhatsApp, but they made a plan. So the importance of AI, we cannot disregard it. We cannot think probably that because I was born in before the Gen Z generation, I cannot use AI. The importance of AI is something that we can't uh, disregard in this moment. So I think what we need to do is to try probably and incorporate AI in how we do things. And I am sorry to everyone that is not doing maths education, but my specialty is maths education, and I hope that the maths educators here are going to learn a lot from the framework that I have developed in terms of how to use AI to solve problems. Can I please have the next slide? Okay, I can see it, but okay, it's fine. So these are the two problems that I have here, but I'm not going to focus on the second one. I think the first one is okay. We can solve it very quickly. Ne? Let's look at it. A farmer wants to fence off a square piece of land. He insists on using 12 poles on each side of the square. How many poles will he need? 48. Thank you. Who said 48? I want to give you my car keys. It's fine. A very nice T-Rock. The nice thing is you are wrong. You are very wrong, but it's okay because it's something that we usually, as math teachers, take into consideration as quick thinking, because we are thinking 12 times 4, it's a square. 12 times 4 is 48. It's quick. But we're not thinking about, there's a corner here, there's a corner there, there's a corner there, there's a corner there. We are not thinking about that. We are just saying, no, 12 times 4 is 48. And the worst part is that's what ChatGPT and other AI models are saying. It's 48. Can I please have the next slide? Um, I gave my students an assignment, and they got this answer. By the way, can I have who said 48? This is the screenshots from ChatGPT. What the students got. The ChatGPT said 12. I don't know. Sometimes it's very important. Of course, it's very important the prompt that you take to ChatGPT, the prompt and everything. I think in terms of, because I can see the time is up, in terms of time, we need to move to the other slide that another student got. Thank you. Another student got 48. Like our colleague here. 48. But I think it's also, questionable. As a lecturer, you look at these things and you think about, why really did I give these students this kind of an assignment? And after that, you can see that there's actually some knowledge to be created from this. Because we really need, and most of us as lecturers, we need to create knowledge. We need to create frameworks. We need to guide, um, you know, our students that we are teaching, that are pre-service teachers, to be able to use all these things that are AI related, that are technology related properly. Because you, and uh, I am sorry, where's Dr. Mafo? I'm sorry, Dr. Mafo, please don't report me. Ne? I have a student that wrote about 2 pages of why 48 is a correct answer. And in all of that, it was very exciting for me to read and read and read the motivation and read the calculation and look at the reasons of each and every step of the calculation of the wrong answer. It was very exciting. So I said to myself, you know what? Maybe today I need to talk about that. So I I look at all of the students' answers. There were two problems, by the way. The first problem was poorly answered. The second problem was worstly answered. Because the second problem does not have a correct answer. It has a very good motivated for answer. So if you look at it, I think probably they will send you the slides. You will look at it. Can I please have the next slide? All right. So if you look at this answer that I got, by the way, I gave these students this assignment in April. I gave them the assignment. So 2 days ago, I went back to ChatGPT and I put the same problem and I asked it, and it did this for me. And this is the correct answer, by the way. Thank you very much. You are noted. This is the correct answer, by the way. And I looked at it and I said to myself, you know what? It's very important to know how to use AI, or let me say large language models, to assist you in terms of, let's say, developing a lesson plan, you need to know what is right and what is wrong in what the feedback from ChatGPT or from any other large language model that you are using is right or wrong. So I say to my students, they need to critique whether the solution is right or wrong. In most cases, if the students don't know whether the solution is right or wrong, they will say it's right. Because after choosing whether it's right or wrong, I say they must produce the correct solution if they think it's wrong. So most of them said, it's wrong, it's right. It's wrong, it's right. And when they produce the correct solution, it was usually the exact solution that ChatGPT gave. And there's no motivation of why the ChatGPT solution is incorrect. So in final, I think it's going to my final slides. In final, I need to ask probably all the maths educators and I don't know, there's something that's blocking there, but it's fine. I will send. No, it's fine. I will send it in the solution. But if ever you are using any AI model, and this is just the case of ChatGPT, we cannot still stay at polia because there's AI now. We can just ask AI, who's doing masters here or PhD or okay. How does AI help you, ma'am? How does AI help you in terms of how you write your proposal, your dissertation and everything?
Um,
Hello?
Hello. It helps me by sometimes I ask it to re-explain something that I've read in other words so that I can have an idea of a different way of using the same um, words. So it helps me rephrase things. Um, Also, it helps me summarize or give me the main points from a paper that I've read.
We ask it to do that.
Do I ask it to do that? Yes, I'll ask it to do that.
Okay. So this is the first thing that I think probably is important, is to ask AI to do something for you. I have a lot of students, by the way, honest students. I think I have about 105 or something. They all ask AI to do something. And if you are all my students, if you start first, sorry, ma'am, if you start first to ask AI to do the same thing that all of the students are going to ask, AI is going to learn from you and learn from her and learn from, and then the type of answers that you are going to get are going to be different because it's a learning machine. It uses language models to learn. So when and this framework probably is something that I'm dreaming about. When I develop this framework, I say to myself, there are going to be two types of problems. There's going to be a right problem and a wrong problem. A wrong problem is a problem that does not have a very good answer, if in a way, if I may say that. But there are also going to be real life problems. I think if we know the caps, we know that problem solving is actually 15% of the cognitive levels in terms of grade 12 examination. We need to make sure that we have 15% of problem solving questions. If I may ask the math teachers, have you ever seen a problem solving question in the metric paper? Anyone who has taught in the paper that you have never taught your students? Thank you very much. because there's no problem solving. The only thing that we teach our students is how to replicate the solutions of different problems. And we say those problems are routine because if I can ask you to factorize right now s squared minus 4, anyone can say that very quickly. It's a simple thing. So we need to make sure that in the feedback that we get from AI, we actually critique it. We look at what is it that we are getting. In GPT, there's a Gemini also. There's, I think, you meeting that rephrases things. So all those things, whatever feedback that it gives you, I am sorry because we are going to get this problem and you get a solution. If you get this solution and you then take it from here, you are going to have a problem because even if you are teaching your students how to use it, you are also misinforming them. We are misinforming them in a way that you think that this solution that you get from here is already correct. We are thinking that this is the right solution, but this is the first step that you need to do. And uh, unfortunately, sorry, I'm going to make an example with my students. I ask them to evaluate first. Evaluate the solution. If you think that the solution is incorrect, or if you think it's correct, give reasons. If you think it's incorrect, give the right solution. And you will see, I gave them two problems. You will see in the second problem that they will always say that it's incorrect, but they always give the same solution that ChatGPT gave. So I want to highlight today to you all, the teachers, and all of our colleagues that are here today, that it's very important to look at the feedback that ChatGPT gives you, that Gemini gives you, that any other large language model gives you, because that feedback is not always going to be correct. There's a lot of correct feedback, by the way, and there's a lot of correct and very nice way of, saying things that are probably we use as also academics as well. I'm sure there's most of academics will write a paragraph and say to ChatGPT, please write this paragraph in this way, in that way, in that way, in that way. We've already written the paragraph, but we just want it to be, nice and stuff. We do that. So if you use any large language model, the first thing that you need to know as a teacher is if the student used it or not. I think that's important because that's what we deal with day in, day out. Dr. Mafo is going to be my witness. The first thing that you look at when you review a proposal or you review a master's dissertation is the language. There are some languages that you know that my students cannot write like this. If I may put it in Zulu, uyazi nawe ukuthi lo angeke abhale kanje. But it's something that we know that it's there, and the only thing for us to say is to use it ethically and make sure that you use it as a friend and as something that's going to advise you on how to do this. I think most of us who did mathematics know about Deborah Ball, who coined mathematical knowledge of teaching. Mathematical knowledge of teaching speaks about you as a teacher knowing how to do error analysis. If you can do error analysis, or if you can't do an error analysis, there's probably some lacking or some very dominant knowledge in you. So it's important to do error analysis in AI models, because whatever that you get will probably not be true. And I'm going to give you an example. One day I was very happy. I said to ChatGPT Pro, by the way, ChatGPT Pro that you pay for, I said, please write a paragraph for me about mathematical problem solving. Include, I know I actually specialize in math problem solving, so I know the people. Please include this person and this person and this person and this person. And then he started writing. Wrote about, when I copied it, by the way, I copied it to a blank Word, wrote about 13 pages, including references, everything. I copied it and pasted it. He included what we say DOI. Dr. Mafo, you'll know what a DOI is. It's just a link where you click, you get to the article. So it included that. So when I click on that article, I am like, it says educational studies in mathematics, top journal in the whole world, by the way, number one, educational studies in mathematics. So I said to myself, let me click on this one, because it's a top journal, by the way. So I did not find the article. I looked at the title, I looked at the year, where references, it has a year. So I looked at that year. I looked at everything that was produced that year, and there was nothing like that. And I said to myself, was Kambela Manga, like ChatGPT. They are lying. So that's when I learned how to use AI and large language models. And my advice is, in terms of solving, let's say, for example, you want to factorize a certain expression using AI. It's very simple, and you are going to get a very accurate and step-by-step answer. But if you want to solve something that relates to real life, you probably have to look at it from different angles, because there is no one way of making sure that the answer is correct. And as I said to you, this happened to my student from here. I said they must evaluate whether, if it's correct, it's fine. If it's incorrect, then they must account for real life variables, and then they must correct and evaluate the situation. But what actually came out to me And this is something that happened about 3 days ago. Is when I put in the same problem that my students put in about 3 months ago when they had the assignment. When I put in the problem, I actually got the correct answer, that is 44 calls. I just only put one problem because I gave them two. So I only put one problem and I got the correct answer. So in myself, I said, it's very important, which is actually the foundation of AI models, is training AI systems to do something. Uh, so I think in conclusion, we probably need to look at how we use AI, because AI cannot be trusted, by the way, because uyazi now uyakushaya nje u-Uber athi ungena la ungene le, uyabo. So location systems also are not perfect. The only thing that we need to do is to learn how to use them ethically, is to learn how to use, please write me an essay on this and this and this and this, and then you get references that are not existent. You are dealing with people who are actually educated. They will know that this is not an existent reference. We don't know this person. Who is this? You see. And we deal with students who do that. So in terms of teaching and learning, I am going to say um, we need to make sure that at least we evaluate, and in fact, in terms of also teacher training as well, we evaluate problem. If you teach mathematics, you're actually teaching problem solving, by the way. I don't think there's any teacher of mathematics who can disagree with that. We are teaching problem solving. We are teaching students how to solve problems. So sorry, I think I'm talking too much. No, but I just think that probably the final word is we need to look at this framework, and if perhaps we have some other thinking in terms of how is it going to be different, you can contact me. I think Doc is going to give you my details, but in terms of using AI in maths to solve problems, it's not always accurate. Even if you think that it says solve x squared minus 4, probably you are going to get a wrong answer. The most important thing is evaluation and verification. We have to make sure that whatever feedback that you get, you evaluate, you verificate, and you also teach that to the learners. Because thinking I am a learners is one. They just get and they just copy and paste. Thank you very much. I think I've taken my my time already.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mashaba. Do we have any questions?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Bianca, can you also just check? Can you also check if we have anything online?
Yeah, I've got a mic. Sorry, I need to point three things out. Firstly, the question didn't say that the poles had to be equidistant. It just said 12 on each side. They could be anywhere. So they didn't have to be in the corners. So the answer could be 48 or 44. There really is no right answer. I think it's a dangerous thing to say that we can't trust AI, for a start. I think that's a sweeping statement that doesn't actually wash, to be very fair in my view. And thirdly, only public free LLMs like GPT 4.0 use your data to train their large language models. If you use others like Copilot or Gemini or the Cove version of GPT-4, and you set it that way, they guarantee that it will not use your data to train your large language models. Now, GPT is trained on Wikipedia. That's how it's trained. And in a public free mode, it will use inputs from prompts to train. But to say that it's kind of influenced by the answers all your students are giving is not always true. But thank you. It's interesting.
Thank you. Is this the problems? Yes, thank you. So I'm not saying that what my students did was right or wrong. I am saying that's what my students did was a lesson to me as a lecturer. It was something that when I looked at how can another student get this answer and another student get that answer and another student get that answer, and after some time I get the correct answer. What I said to myself was, well, it's important for this system to learn, because it's not something that is controlled by anything, by the way. It's controlled by whatever data it's learning from. It's controlled by what is happening within the system, what is developing. If I ask ChatGPT, I write a sentence and I say, well, ChatGPT, in this sentence, please develop this and this and this and this and this. It's going to develop something. Probably it's going to be lies. Sorry?
Okay. I think in the interest of time, I will cut this one short because I don't think we will, be in agreement. I will allow you both to have the conversation offline. Thank you so much, Dr. Matlaba, for your interesting presentation. Thank you so much. I think now, thank you. So we're going to move to our last segment for the day, which is the panel discussion. So if you just allow us a few minutes to just shift things around as the panel come up and take a seat. Can I please ask you to come? If you know you're on the panel, come on up. And as they do that, we are going to put up the QR code for the evaluation. So please make sure you evaluate us. Tell us how much you like us and how wonderful we are. Yes, so it'll take us just a few minutes to shift things around, and then we will. Great, thank you. So we do have 5 panelists. I will introduce the moderator, and then everybody else will give you an introduction. So the moderator for the panel discussion is Ronelle Klink. Ronelle has shared her passion for integrating digital tools into teaching and learning for over 24 years. She's regarded as a thought leader in the education industry and has shared her expertise by conducting countless webinars and hands-on workshops, leading keynote presentations and panel discussions at a range of conferences in South Africa and various other countries. In her current role as account executive for basic education at Microsoft, Ronelle works with a range of partners, provincial departments, leading private school groups, e-learning curriculum teams, subject advisors, and various educators. Ronelle is currently pursuing her PhD in ICT at UNISA, and her topic includes AI. Everything she commits to is intentional to aid, support, and impact education positively and foster a culture of empowering and encouraging others to do the same. Ronelle's vision for South Africa is to become the hub of modernized digital education for Africa. I'm quite excited about this panel discussion. Ronelle, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Lungile. Good afternoon, everyone. What a wonderful day it's been. I think, we can all agree we've learned from each other. When I was preparing for this session with everyone today, I was thinking about, how can I use Copilot, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But what I wanted to emphasize today, I'm going to be the learner and the panelists are going to be the educators. Because that's the topic. How do we, encourage 21st century learning? And I'm going to start off with Jay, just because Jay's been so outspoken. But what you'll notice is everything that we're going to talk about today is going to be a summary of what we've learned today. So think of it in that way. Right. So Jay, my question to you is, there's lots in 21st century learning design. What are the challenges that are key to you?
I think those challenges can be multifaceted. It really all depends what you want to do, where you want to do it. I've seen really great learning and teaching under a tree in Zambia. It's where I discovered how quadratic equations are actually relevant. But if we're talking about using technology, if we're talking about harnessing the power of AI, which won't always tell you lies, to be honest. If we're thinking about how we use that, it's predicated on some very basics. And this is a question that ministries of education and other education leaders and private school groups and universities really need to grapple with. It can't be kicked into the long grass anymore. And that's about meaningful connectivity. The world runs on the internet. We are a 21st century global digital economy. And if we really want our learners to be able to succeed, they need to be able to take part in that global discourse. And they can't do that if the system doesn't equip them with the basics that they need. Now, if we assume that, that electricity and water and sanitation are a given, which equal education would have us believe should be, then we have to look at how we equip our schools and make them fit for purpose in this 21st century digital age. And we can't do that without meaningful connectivity. That does not mean a 4G cell phone in the principal's office. It means that we need a school that's networked with a reasonable connectivity so that teachers can use these tools that we've talked about and that learners can take advantage so that you can bring the world into their classroom and take their classroom out to the world. So I think we have to have a real rethink and a reboot of what we consider to be the basic requirements in schools in this 21st century. So we've got to look at connectivity. We have to look at what technology we give them. We have to look at giving our teachers the confidence and the training to be able to explore all of these tech platform solutions that we've talked about today, and to have that necessary capacity to make a choice as to whether they will use that technology or not. Because the whole school day and every class does not have to be focused on using technology. I'm a very critical friend to EdTech in classrooms. And as I said before, if it doesn't change things or it doesn't add value, then you should question why you're going to use it. So giving teachers the confidence to make those decisions, and also the confidence to accept feedback from the learners in a classroom, democratizing learning, really gives you that learning environment that is fit for purpose. So as I work with ministers of education all over the world, and the constant factor of the discussions that I have is about how you equip a school. And that means great teachers, well-trained, well-rewarded, the right learning materials in the school, be they tech or non-tech. That needs to be revisited. I think we've lost our way a little bit there.
Absolutely, Jay, and I would agree with that. I want to circle back to something you said about fit for purpose. And actually, maybe you can just unpack that a little bit for us in terms of looking at 21st century learning design. And it's something that, you know, a lot of people have spoken about today. Are you ready? You absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
Sure.
I teach in public school, and I've
Yeah.
always taught in a public school. So I've seen,
Ashley,
yes.
could I just, I've just been reminded that you need to introduce yourself as
Okay.
well. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Ashley Govender. I teach at Bryanston High School up the road. I've been teaching now for almost 30 years. So been through the mill of very poor schools to, when I say poor schools, as in having a bath was a luxury for my students, to schools that were very wealthy. I taught at Durban Boys High for 9 years, and now at Bryanston High School. So I've seen the full spectrum from your peri-urban to your very wealthy school. So, and in all of these, always been plagued with the same question that you have: is the school and is the curriculum fit for purpose?
Right.
And my response to that question would be, yes, you can be fit for purpose because our methodology needs to change. And that for me is key, fit for purpose. And methodology, if we follow the CAPS document for, again, public school system, is based upon learner-centered education. And we haven't yet translated into that. And as we begin to look at our curriculum and way in which it is written, we need to begin to think, and what I do as well all the time, because my school has access to technology. We do have Wi-Fi throughout the school. Children come from varying backgrounds, from where they can buy a computer to the ones that will get a second-hand cell phone, to ones that don't have a cell phone. So we do have that spectrum within our school as well. So the idea that I would say is, yes, 21st century learning is important because our students need to walk out and work in this new environment. But at the same time, we need to give them the skill. And that skill does not necessarily have to be achieved through technology, but the methodology is key, I think. So, for example, if I'm designing a drag and drop, yes, technology allows me to do drag and drop.
Yeah.
Bang, no problem. What about the school that does not have the drag and drop, or even the cell phone, or even the computer, or the connectivity? Couldn't we then decide and determine and create a worksheet that uses cut and paste, or
Absolutely.
pop out and stick? So, you know, it's the same skill, the same mindset, but in a very different approach. So for me, that is the bridge between the schools that have and the schools that have not. And we have to bridge that gap, because the reality is I'm in a better off school, and we still have that massive gap between advantaged and disadvantaged.
I tend to agree with the methodology, absolutely, because one of the 21st century learning design principles are built on self-regulation. So how do we do that in our schools where learners are not empowered to do that? Can I ask you to introduce yourself?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ruan Hudson. I work at Centennial Schools as a teacher. I also, for many years before I started teaching, I was an esports professional. I played in professional esports. So my role within education is using not just video games, but gamifying education to help as an addition to learning. Because the immediate feedback of I have a task, I get the immediate feedback of what I've done. This is what my results. That's the important thing for kids of this generation. So when it comes to, sorry, repeat your question again. Apologies.
So how do we help and empower learners to be self-regulated, to take, power of their own learning?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when it comes to taking power of your own learning, kids find themselves, often they are given a workload and they just need to get through it. They're not necessarily given a reason as to why to do it. And so the thing is with technology, introducing technology within that sphere is they can, like I said, they get that immediate feedback. So whether it be something as simple as completing a quiz in class, getting that immediate feedback, the thing, oh, I want to do this, I want to keep doing this. You'll all find, like in many of your schools, like Kahoot quizzes are all the rage. It's something simple. It's a simple gamification of something, but the kids will find themselves loving that small environment of competing, but also doing it themselves. So regulating themselves in terms of what they need to do is they can. What I would like to, what I would say is, when I give homework, it's not just a sheet of homework. I don't just give them, oh, here's your worksheet, please go do it. It's I give you small tasks, and then based on how many tasks you complete, I will give you a reward. Reward being, oh, maybe you don't have to do homework at a different stage, you specifically. So it is like, I'm gamifying the work that they need to do. That gives them the confidence to do something, and knowing that they will easily get to what they need to do. So like it breaks it up, but also they feel like, oh, this is a game. I'm learning. I'm having fun. That's like the whole part of it.
Very interesting. So when I was preparing for this presentation, I went into Copilot and I asked the question, what does it mean for an educator or learner to be 21st century prepared? And everything that you've spoken about, Jay, fit for purpose, Ashley, you spoke about methodology and you spoke about gamification. All of that came up in my summary. Isn't it interesting that you can rely on AI in that way? So Lynette, my question to you is, again, coming back to 21st century learning, how do we ensure that our educators are prepared for 21st century learning?
So I'm Lynette Crichton. I work here at Brescia House School. I'm the head of innovation and staff development. So at our school, we really believe in Microsoft Certified Educator. The learning pathway, which is part of being a Microsoft Innovative Educator, is 21st Century Learning Design. It's a framework that Microsoft have put together. In our school, every teacher who arrives from preschool, actually, because we opened a preschool this year, double naught, all the way to matric. The first year you're a teacher at Brescia, you not only do the learning pathway as part of Microsoft Learn, you actually go on to take the exam and become a Microsoft Certified Educator, because there's 6 rubrics, 6 dimensions, really give teachers something to hang their ideas on, to evaluate when they make tasks that require collaboration, to think about real world problem solving at a different level. Ashley can say he's just done the course. He hasn't quite written the exam yet, Ashley, sorry, hint, hint. We are very grateful to Microsoft, who every year give us vouchers to help teachers who can write online, and I can post the details. And as Brescia, we give back by helping teachers by running the workshops and then helping them gain that qualification. And it just means that the playing fields, everybody understands. It's like a language, what we're talking about. And it definitely, we've done it since 2021. We even have a whole term of grade 9. We call them 21 CLD projects. And it's certainly changed and improved the quality of our projects across the whole school, because now they are knowledge building, rich with 21st century skills. It is amazing, and I challenge and encourage every teacher to do it. Even if you don't use Microsoft platform, it is not a technological exam. It's about pedagogy and reframing your thinking, as Ashley said.
Sure.
Since Leonard Shane be in public, yes, our school, essentially, it took me a year of getting the school to this point where we are able to now engage with Microsoft and engage with the training. You would not believe the teacher resistance that existed prior to that. And at the end of 2 sessions with Lynette, we've got teachers going, I want to do the exam now. And I'm the one who started the process going, I'll do it next year. So that has been a huge jump. Just by doing those courses, the mindset of teachers has literally changed. So I can attest to the fact that, yes, that program that Microsoft has put in place makes a huge difference just in the way people think.
So you don't know, but one of your teachers from last Monday, she wrote this Monday and passed. Yeah, so they've got one down and a whole lot to go. So yes.
And I mean, that's, really talking about the solutions and the success of AI when introduced correctly. And our final panelist, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself. And my question is, can you share any success stories of 21st century learning?
All right, thank you so much. I am a 4-pen lecturer at the University of Johannesburg, Department of Science and Technology Education. It has been quite a day, mouthful, earful. I've learned a lot as well. But yeah, all of the contributions of the panelists as well as the presenters are really worthwhile. And if you're a teacher in here, you should be taking some serious notes as to what we are going to do going forward. But coming back to your question, I have a basket full of success stories. I don't know where to start, but one of my recent success stories, and I can't stop talking about it, I have a master's student who uses Minecraft to teach natural sciences. She is passionate about Minecraft, and what she has done has blown my mind in terms of how much she has incorporated the use of creativity, the use of collaboration, the use of the ability just to let learners be themselves, create things the way they visualize it in their mind's eye. That has been one of the things I can't stop blabbing about. I didn't know that you could construct a whole model of the solar system using Minecraft. We've seen that happening in natural sciences classrooms. They were able to build ecosystems, like one of the presenters mentioned. They were able to build biomes using Minecraft. So they would literally build a desert biome and then build an all-green biome. It could be a rainforest or something. Quite fascinating in terms of how they represent their thoughts in using technology. And I always try to honestly talk to educators. Like Ashley said, there is a great divide between the haves and the have-nots. Not all schools have access to this tool. But as a researcher in my own right, I always say one researcher, one teacher, one school. We can get the funding to equip our schools, even rural schools. I think some of the people who know some of my success stories are in this room. I do a lot of work with virtual reality technology, with augmented reality technology. And the questions I fondly have is, how can you bring your success stories of virtual reality into rural schools? We can innovate, we can reimagine, we can recurriculate our curriculum. We can actually take time to upscale even to rural areas. So this is something that we have tried with some schools in Zululand. That's another success story that I like sharing. And you can see that some rural schools are able to use virtual reality with cardboard devices and a few compatible cell phones that teachers have. And we do a screencast that brings excitement into the STEM classroom. Science all of a sudden not becomes so boring. They become fascinated and they are awed by the 3D imagery. So educators and colleagues, it's a basket full, but the few is for me to say we can go beyond the limitations. With partners like Microsoft, Lenovo, and all the other partners in the technological sphere, we can equip every learner, including the most remotest of learners. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, Minecraft coming up.
Yeah.
If you say Minecraft in any school, I promise you there will be a learner who knows about Minecraft, whether it be from the have-nots or the haves. Definitely Minecraft is the way to go in terms of game-based learning. So my question is to the panelists, whoever would love to answer this question. So there's a lot of challenges that we have, but if there was one thing that you could give people to walk away with this afternoon, what would that be in terms of 21st century learning? What is that key, that one little thing that we can all do?
Sure. I'll speak first as an educator and then I'll speak as a student. As an educator, you should be willing to learn, willing to expand your skills, willing to show that you are willing to learn these new things. Like Minecraft, at our school we had a 63-year-old teaching kids about the periodic table through Minecraft, that they had to go out into the world and find the various materials, and she had to teach herself, learn herself, and she was willing to do that. It's this wonderful thing of like being in part of that environment where you want to use this technology, use the spaces that the kids are familiar with to teach them. And as for the kids, I come from a very privileged environment in terms of like where the most of the technology and internet is already at school. It's wonderful to see that kids are able to engage with the technology in a wonderful stage. It's always as a teacher, regulating, making sure that they're not misusing it. And that's kind of where, as a student, technology is a wonderful thing, but learning how to regulate yourself and how to use it appropriately is important. That's also why digital citizenship and all that kind of stuff, classes like that, need to be introduced to kids so they know how to act appropriately in an online world.
Yeah, for me, the one takeaway to be is to change your mindset. The teacher has to start first. They have to change the way in which they think, and begin to not think of. And just to illustrate it, many students come out of university and they are all equipped with a learner-centered approach. They come into a traditional school like a public school and they go, no, we don't do that. We do it that way. Yes. And that teacher then is immediately squashed and said, you will teach the way we teach. And you find that if you don't begin to change your mindset and look at it, I don't have to teach facts, but rather students can engage with content and discover facts. That immediately is a change in your mindset, and your method changes immediately. You're no more the person standing in front just going off at the mouth and just clicking through PowerPoints and reading them, but rather your students are engaging. And as soon as you begin to make that change, what I found in my personal experience was you get excited. And suddenly teaching is not humdrum, boring, where, I've taught for 20 years, I know what to do. Walk into the classroom and just start talking. But rather, you get excited because suddenly when you start engaging with things like gamification and all the various apps that are there, and then suddenly you go, I can teach this using that. I can look at it from this perspective. And that for me is the key, is that as soon as you get the little switch and when that switch gets turned on, then there's nothing stopping you.
Thanks. Can I give two things?
Sure.
The first one would be, you're probably mind blown by everything you've heard today, lots of different pieces of tech and platforms and solutions. The way I started when I was teaching biology, natural science, was there was one thing I learned to do really well, one thing. And for me, it was lesson planning in PowerPoint, but it could be anything. But if you learn to do one thing really well, that gives you confidence. And then when you've got confidence, you start to play and explore. So learning how to do one thing that really adds value to your work as a teacher will give that confidence for you to start exploring other things. And you're not going to break it. You're not going to break the platform or the solution or Office 365. Just turn the computer off and turn it on again. It always works, generally. So that's what I would say. One thing you can do really well, okay? The second thing is learn from your learners. Like, I learned most of my technology skills because the kids in my class would say, oh, can we use a podcast? Or what about blogging? Or I would say to them, can we use these Nintendo? I ended up teaching leaf pigments with a Nintendo Wii because the red pigments divert the beam and the green pigments absorb it. So they would divert the Wii beam around the corner. Things like that, you just discover this, but there's a class full of ideas there. And if you're not confident in using tech, there are 30 or more people in the classroom who may have the tech skills, but they probably don't know how to use technology for learning. And this is where teachers come in. Teachers have never, ever been as important as they are right now at this period of time. Because with the 24/7 information flow, deep fakes, Donald Trump, all that kind of stuff going on, you're there to guide them and support them and help them to understand how to make sense of all of this. And they can help you as well in terms of suggestions about how they could get to the end point, the learning objectives in a class, in many, many different ways. So you're moving it almost to a self-organized learning environment. You're moving from a pedagogical approach to a heutagogical approach. But the learners are taking ownership of the learning, and that sticks when they really own it.
Thank you so much, Shane. I really agree with you 150%. Start small. In the research world, we say publish or perish. But in the teaching sphere today, geek up or get kicked out. You have to become a tech geek. Colleagues, this is me going down to the floor and being humble as possible. I could even prostrate for you. You need to step up the game, irrespective of your age, what you think you might have accomplished as a teacher. Step up the game. The big question from one of my classes was, will AI soon replace us as science teachers? I told them two things, and I was blunt. If you're lazy, yes. But if you geek up, you will work smart and you will do more exploit. There are many people who are technophobic. It doesn't matter what age you are. There are very many young people who don't like technology. And there are those that are technophilic. They could be 85-year-old. You give them a cell phone, they get excited. They start doing Snapchat. The question is, colleagues, do we have a choice? No. In this business, you can't choose a side. You must upskill. You must move learners to where they ought to be, getting them future-proofed. In fact, thank you so much for saying what you said, Renel, because I have students that I have influenced and they have become Microsoft certified, paying their exam fee by themselves. So I myself am lazying behind, but I am not afraid to learn. That is the attitude I want you to take home. Be a lifelong learner. Keep learning. I've started doing coding by Python from basics. Yes. Colleagues, I'm very old. I don't want to say more.
I was going to say be a lifelong learner, but I was first going to challenge them. So I'm also a computer applications or CAT teacher. So I just want to do some simple maths with you. So next year we're halfway to 2050. Understand, next year it's 2025 is halfway to 2050. And the year 2000, those of us who are old enough to think about when they all thought that computers were going to stop because of the date, because it got past 1999. That's 25 years ago. But here's a fun fact. I've got matrics. Think about when they retire. They are 18. They retire in approximately 50 years. That is 20, 75, 76. If we equip our learners the way I went to school, and we've got a problem. If we don't become lifelong learners, I have a son who's 15. I can't even tell you what the world's going to be like in when he matriculates, let alone when he's my age. So, and I say this, I run Curiosity. So in 2022, we had Curiosity in October. Does anybody else know what happened in November 2022? ChatGPT. 3 weeks before that, we had Graham Codrington talk all about future tech and how AI influenced it. 1 month later, everybody could ask ChatGPT everything. So I'm with you. Upskill. Well, you know, somebody said if AI can replace you, then maybe they should. Yes. 100%. So I agree with you. We've got to be there, and we've got to be not afraid to learn, not afraid to go there. Not afraid to let the children in our class show us things. Be that lifelong learner. I'm doing my master's with them, and keep going, because that's the skills that are going to get our learners through. That's where 21st century learning skills, whichever framework you subscribe to, is about. It's about the skills you're going to have, not the knowledge. Knowledge is not power anymore.
Thank you so much, Lyneth. You know, I met someone earlier today and he said to me, Ronelle, how did you get to start working at Microsoft? But I won't tell you how how I got into Microsoft. But what I will share with you is at Microsoft, we are encouraged to fail forward, fail fast. And if you're not prepared to do that, we currently, within the SEMA range that Jay was referring to this morning, South Africa is leading in the number of times employers are starting to use Copilot every day. So I'm challenged every day to use Copilot. So challenge yourself. What can you do differently? You know, and it's about lifelong learning. Our former president, Nelson Mandela, spoke about lifelong learning. It's really, really about being a geek, you know. So I hope that you've learned something and you've taken something away from this panel discussion. I certainly have. And thanks for little reminders of how we go ahead in terms of 21st century learning. Thank you so much.
Questions from the audience? Yes. Great.
Thank you for an insightful discussion. My question is around gamification. That do you think with the challenges we have, majority in mathematics, is the attitude learners have towards the subject before they even start with it? Do you think gamification can help us maybe pull down some of those barriers and remove some of the stigmas?
Absolutely. So with mathematics in particular, I took a very long time for me to think about proper ways to gamify mathematics. So the problem with mathematics is it's a continuous skill that needs to continuous building and all that kind of stuff. So when it comes to gamifying it, is teach it as you would normally teach it, and then once you've covered a topic or covered a section where you feel like they are functional, that's when you start gamifying it. So our maths teacher at school, she didn't use technology for this, but she made like a scavenger hunt around the school, and for the kids to find clues, they have to solve maths problems. Only by getting the correct answer as a group do they get to go to the next step, And obviously now working in a group and having something fun to do and doing the work that they've been busy with for weeks and weeks and weeks, they are engaging with that work a lot more. And you can see how steadily the bottom line increases in terms of marks, because you can see the kids want to participate because they know that by the end of this topic, they're going to do something fun. They're going to do an activity where this is going to be useful for them.
Cool, thank you.
Can I come in on?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
You see, there's a big difference between gamification and games-based learning. So I remember back in 2007 being on the television in Scotland talking about using commercial off-the-shelf games consoles. I used to use the Wii, I used to use the Xbox Rock Band to teach with. And some university professor was telling me basically on the TV that I was selling snake oil. However, do you know, if we go back to theory and we look at how we were taught when we were becoming teachers, we learned a lot about Piaget's work, about play. You know, the great progressives of education, John Dewey, Maria Montessori, really focused on using play in a child-centered approach. And somehow we've lost that over the past 200 years or so. And kids, when they come into preschool, they don't care if they fail or not. They get the feedback from wherever and they do it again. As kids grow older, we teach them to fear failure. And unfortunately, you know, that's a big blocker in learning. Now, games-based learning and gamification, you know, they're really great ways to break down that whole fear of failing. Because if you think about it, do you play Angry Birds? Anyone? Okay. So what happens when you don't make the level? You get feedback on how you can succeed, and it's instant feedback, okay? Kids, when they can't do something, they go onto YouTube and watch a video of somebody showing them how to do it. Instant feedback. The power of gamification and games-based learning is in the feedback you get from the technology, and that's what drives the learning, makes it meaningful. So it's got a huge role to play in any subject. You know, I remember I was at a teach meet once in Scotland, and I did 7 minutes on this is how you use a hammer in any subject and any lesson. And the audience were throwing out subjects and grades, and I was showing them how they would use a hammer to teach with. But it's all about play. That's what it was. It was about play. And it's a critical part. And just because you're going to university doesn't mean you stop learning like that. I work with the Technion, which is one of the premier technology universities in Israel, and they are using Minecraft to teach advanced calculus. You don't drink when you do calculus. You mustn't drink and derive. You know.
I agree with Jane. I just wanted to say one thing to your question. Attitude is fundamental. All educators here can agree that if you have a bad attitude towards something, you don't want to hear about it. I knew of people that will work, they'll just take a leave. They don't ask for permission. Soon as the maths teacher come in, they go out. Bad attitude. So the game, it leverages on that, brings in the fun part, motivates, changes the way you look at things, tells you that this thing is not all boring. Come to think about it. So you are really on point. We need to start somewhere. It might mean that for your particular group of learners, you need to start working on their attitude by increasingly adding those tools that will fascinate them, make them to gain interest. Yeah.
Kenneth, you want to add?
Well, I was just going to say, the thing is, when my son fails at a game, he might shout, but he goes back and does it again. How many people can say that about a maths class? So, if you could just take Fortnite and put it in maths.
Do you have any other questions? Do you have any questions, comments? Bianca? Anything on the chat? Yes. No. Yeah. Thank you so much to our panelists. Thank you to our moderator, Ronald. And I'm happy to say we are going to finish early today, so that's exciting. But thank you all so much. As you go off the stage, could I please ask that we have the QR code put up so that our attendees can take the evaluation? Of our program. Thank you all so much for staying with us from early this morning. Thank you to our online people. I believe we still have quite a nice number. How many do we have there, Bianca?
It's north of 200.
Ah, okay. That's exciting. So we have about 200 people that are still with us online. So thank you. Shout out to all of you. Everyone from other countries as well. Really excited. But a special thank you to Microsoft, who made me look pretty with my scarf. Thank you to Microsoft for the event. Thank you to Lenovo as well for everything they've done today. Jane, I think she left earlier on. Thank you, Bianca, for putting everything together. Thank you, Lynette, and your team, Cindy and Lebo. Thank you both so much for all the work that you've put in to make today successful. I think today was really successful. Thank you to all the speakers for your time. You've all been here since this morning till now. Thank you so much. Thank you to the online speakers as well. Yeah, I think I've thanked everyone. Right?
Yep, and thanks to Lenovo for the food as well. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, thank you to Lenovo for the food as well. And thank you to my co-pilot and my other co-pilot who's online, Serene. Yeah, thank you. So before we close, I would like to ask that everyone please come for a nice picture in front of the beautiful Microsoft banner. If we can just get a nice big group picture. Once that is done, yes. Okay. Can you also ask everyone online to just switch on the cameras so that it can also be part of the picture? Once that's done, goodbye. All right, so if everyone can just come up.
I don't know. Yeah, to our online attendees, please switch on your cameras.